Starting with the name of Allah Almighty, the most beneficent and merciful. My name is Professor Suleiman. I am going to discuss about my spoken English course. So, first of all, I would like to quote a verse from the Holy Quran. What Allah Almighty says in Holy Quran, Laisal insana illa masa. A man gets whatever he strives for. So we can get whatever we strive for in our lives. So this is the quotation which help us to motivate ourselves and to move on for the learning spoken English course. So first of all, I'm going to discuss the contents of my course. First of all, we will discuss introduction and history of English, evolution of English. One thing, remember that we are talking about English spoken not as a subject. We're not taking it as a subject over here. Rather, we are talking about as a language. So, third one is importance of English, benefits, problem and solution of English, and grammar, parts of speech and their types, types of sentences, types of conditional sentences, and sentence structuring. Okay, all these things are very, very important in order to learn English perfectly. So we are moving towards the introduction and the history of the English. Here we are going to discuss about the introduction and the history of English. English is a West Germanic language which is being spoken in so many countries around the world. If we talk about Anglo-Saxon and Anglophones countries, that includes countries UK, USA, Canada, Australia, Ireland, New Zealand, and number of Caribbean nations. There are 375 million people who are native speakers, who use English language as their first language. If we talk about 220 million people use it as their second language. Okay, as we know that in business, in workplace, in traveling, we use spoken English. We have to use it because it has become the need of era. Evolution of English, we talk about English has changed with the passage of time, but we need to know the evolution of English as well. So if we talk about this particular pie chart in which I'm going to show you that English is the components of these languages, in which the prominent is Germanic, Latin and French language. Okay, and rest of the thing are from proper nouns, Greek and unknown other words which have been the part of the English language as well. Okay, so because nearly 60% of the vocabulary comes from Latin, English, sometimes called the most Latin of the Germanic languages, and is often mistaken for being Romance language. Why learning English is important? That is another question which arises in the mind of the students. Need to be known why English learning is so important. So we are going to discuss about the importance of the English. If we talk about, if I say that English is the language of this era, so I would not be wrong. Because nowadays, English has become the language of international communication. English is the language of business. English gives you access to world of entertainment. Learning English gives you access to more of the internet. Whatever you want to search, you just need to write on the Google and you can find out your results. But you need to know the English language that is going to help you in everything. There are a lot of things I have made in this particular course for the practices. You can make a lot of practice. I have given a lot of practices. But what we need to discuss about that, we are going to discuss what new things are there. If I talk about the contraction is also very, very important in the English language. What is actually contraction? That comes to our mind, that how can we use the contraction, and contraction are actually you are going to reduce the words and you are shorten the words. Like if I show you some example over here, that we use usually a word do not, okay, and if we contract it, so it becomes don't. Okay, like that, cannot become can't. Okay, in this way we can use contraction as well, which usually become the barrier to our listening. There are some other barrier as well which I will discuss in the later lecture. So you need to know why we are feeling hesitant, what are the problems that we are facing in order to learn English language. If we talk about the problems, what problem actually we face. If we talk about the problem, we have psychological pressures. Sometimes we say that we are having lack of environment. Sometimes we do not speak because we are not having environment like friends to whom we can speak English. But I would like to give you one advice. What you need to do, you have to create an environment. You have to speak English with your friends. Even you should think in English. When you will start thinking in English, a lot of vocabulary will be the part of your memory. In that way, you can use many of the memory wherever you are working, wherever you are teaching, whatever you are doing. So that's going to help you in improving your English language. But there are a lot of practices I have shown you over there, that how express regret in English, that how to, you can say that disagree in English. There are a lot of practices that we can do and that we can learn in order to learn English effectively, will help us a lot in order to get jobs in multinational companies, in order to know about the latest things which are we have been seeing. Okay, so actually English language is helping us a lot. If we talk about you're gonna go abroad, so English language has become necessary for you. If you even buy a mobile phone, even then you will have to use English language in order to understand, in order to use it brilliantly, effectively. So English has become the language of business, aviation, travel, science, computer, IT. So all these things are showing us the importance of the English. Now I am going to show you that how can we overcome on this problem which I have discussed right now, that we are not having environment, so we have to create an environment. How can we create? We have to speak English with our friends, and we have to realize them that the speaking English will give us confidence. From the beginning, nobody can be perfect. There are a lot of things you can say that, but one thing is going to help us. Where there is a will, there is a way. If you are determined, if you want to do something in your life and you have a firm belief in your personality, if you have decided, so you can achieve as well. So first of all, you need to make your mind. If you have made your mind that you're going to be a great speaker, so what things you have to follow? If you want to become a good speaker, first of all, you need to become a good listener. Okay, for the listening, there are things which I'm going to discuss with you as well. But if you want to become a good writer, you will have to become a good reader as well. So I'm going to show you the slide in which I've given you some practices regarding the alphabet which we are not pronouncing correctly, and we are facing too many problems in our listening as well as speaking. The thing is that we have learned our mother language by listening. So many languages we have learned only by listening. How? Because we use the direct method. Okay, we didn't use the you can say the translation method. In learning language, we usually use two methods. One is direct method that we usually use if we say to somebody that is a multimedia projector. Okay, we say that this is a whiteboard. So these kind of things become the direct method. But on the other hand, there is the translation method as well. But now actually we are going to discuss about the alphabet in which we are facing problem, that is given in the last slide. I'm going to show you that particular last slide, and I've told you all these things. If you want to become a good reader, you will have to become a coach. You have to follow all these four things. For good speaking, you have to become good listener. For good writing, you have to become good reader. In that way, you can grasp so many things and you can overcome so many problems. And if you talk about these alphabets which are going to help us a lot, these are very important, which I've given you in the last slide. As I've shown you the problem that we were facing, and we have overcome on this problem as well. We have created an environment by discussing with family and friends and the members of our working place, colleagues. Okay, so in that way we can use so many vocab in this particular course which have been given. So we have to use all these as well. And most importantly, which I'm going to show you, that is given at the end of the slides. And this is what I'm going to discuss with you. But before moving toward this, one thing more important, that is what? Accent and pronunciation. There's a difference. One thing keep in your mind, you can change your pronunciation, you can improve your pronunciation, but accent you can't completely change. Okay? So if we talk about the actual accent, that is British, okay? What is actually pronouncing? Like I've given you the example, if somebody says that I wanted to eat apple, so that is the wrong pronunciation. What is actually, here I have pronounced walnut. That is not walnut, that is want. Okay, that is want. And as I've told you, contraction, I shall become I'll, I had become I'd, okay, and I would become I'd as well, but there is a difference. If we are going to use third form of verb after the I'd, so it means that has been used as a I had. So I has been the contraction of I had. If I'm going to use the first form of verb after the I'd, it means here I'd been used as I would. Okay, so these are the alphabet in which we usually face the problem, and how we can practice. I'm gonna tell you about how you can make practice. Now I will change my accent into the British accent. Okay, I will try to speak the British accent in order to you can differentiate between the Asian accent and the British accent. Okay, and that is what is the reason when our native speaker speaks, we are unable to understand just because of these alphabets. Okay, how we pronounce and how native speaker pronounce, we are gonna create the difference. We pronounce it A. They little bit stretch the A. They say, we say apple, they say apple. Angel, ear, AC, able. Okay. If we talk about C, when it will give you the sound of C, when after the C, we are gonna use I, we are going to use Y, we are going to use E. Whenever after C, I, Y and E will be used, it will give the sound of C, like city, cycle, cinema, cement. If you keep one thing in your mind, if I pronounce it wrong, people will laugh at me. If I say that, how many kitties are in your country? So people will make fun of mine that he is not going to know about the pronunciation. So these are going to help us a lot. We have to improve these things. So that is city, cycle, cinema, cement. Okay. If I talk about the C, give you sound of calf. लेकिन इंग्लिश में ये क्या साउंड देगा? ख का साउंड देगा. ख का साउंड कैसे हमें पता चलेगा? हमारे पास उर्दू जुबान में एक वर्ड है सखर. अगर आप सखर का सीन हटा लें और उसका रे भी हटा लें तो बाकी जो बचता है वो बचता है ख. ख का साउंड क्लियर होना चाहिए हमारा बोलते वक्त. इसी तरह मैं एक और एग्जांपल देता हूं आपको. हमारे पास उर्दू जुबान में एक वर्ड है मक्खन. अगर आप मक्खन का मीम हटा दें और नून हटा दें तो जो बाकी साउंड बचता है ख का, वो ख का साउंड सी में भी होगा, वो ख का साउंड के में भी होगा, वही ख का साउंड क्यू में भी होगा, जो हम अभी प्रैक्टिस करते वक्त डिस्कस करेंगे. तो हम बात कर रहे हैं सी की. तो अब हमने इसको कैसे प्रोनाउंस करना है? अब हमने इसको कहना है कोकोनट, कोकोनट, कैमरा, केज, कैप, computer, computer. Okay, it should be very much clear. It should be very much clear in your speaking, and you have to keep in your mind all these things in order to improve your listening as well. So if I talk about ch, we usually pronounce चे, हम इसको चे का साउंड देते हैं. लेकिन अगर आपने इसको ब्रिटिश एक्सेंट में बोलना है, ब्रिटिश स्टाइल में बोलना है, तो ये होगा छे. 5 के बाद कितने होते हैं? 6. तो ये होगा 6 का साउंड. तो इनको हम क्या पढ़ेंगे? चैंपियन, चॉकलेट, चार्ज, change, chamber. One thing more you have to remember, whenever R is used at the middle or the end, it gives a very slight sound. What we do, we put emphasis on car, on R. But we say, where is your car? But if you say this particular line in the British accent, what they are going to say, where is your car? Okay, so that kind of little changes will make your speaking effective. We are going to talk about E. To much extent we speak E good, as we Asian speak like that the British speak. There's not a huge difference. We can say that English, they speak English, engineer, electronic. Okay, if I talk about the K, as I told you, it will give you the sound of K. That will be king, Kane, Karachi. Okay, if I'm going to use the word of Urdu in English, even then I'll have to keep that particular accent. I'm not going to say that it's Karachi. If I'm speaking English, I will have to say that that is Karachi. Okay, the both sound are clear. K and the sound of che, both are clear in this particular word. Kite, kite. If I talk about O, we say that O and they say O. Okay, oil, ox, onion, O. Okay, but the P, if we talk about the sound of P, I need a piece of paper that is going to help us for the practice, that how can we pronounce it P. Okay, thank you. Okay, the thing is that if I have to pronounce P correctly, तो मैं आपको एक और इसमें मिसाल देता हूँ. हमारे जो वालिद की जो सिस्टर होती है उसको क्या कहते हैं, फुफ्फी. ओके, तो अगर हम उसका एक पहला हिस्सा उर्दू वाला निकालें तो जो दूसरा हिस्सा बचता है वो एक्चुअली पी की एक्चुअल प्रोनाउंसिएशन होगी. ठीक है, हम इसकी प्रैक्टिस कर सकते हैं. एक पेज लेकर हम इसको जब पी को ब्रिटिश एक्सेंट में बोलेंगे तो ये पेज हिलेगा. ठीक है, जब मैं इसको एशियन स्टाइल में बोलूंगा तो ये नहीं हिलेगा. पाकिस्तानी पीपल, Pakistani people are working hard. Pakistani people are very brave. Okay, Pakistani people are improve. देखिए, जब भी मैं पी को बोल रहा हूं तो पेज हिल रहा है, यानी मुंह को भर के आपने बोला पी को. लेकिन ये पी की प्रैक्टिस करते वक्त आपने थोड़ा सा एक शफकत करनी है कि दूसरों से थोड़ा दूर रहना है, क्योंकि इसके आउटकम कुछ डेंजरस भी हो सकते हैं. उसके बाद हम चलते हैं पीएच की तरफ. पीएच है फोनेटिक्स, फोटो, क्योंकि ये साउंड देता है फे का. क्यू में वही साउंड ख, क्वीन, क्विकली, क्वेंच, क्वाइट, क्विट. टी यू आर ई का जो साउंड है वो आपको साउंड देगा चेयर, चेयर. ओके, लाइक वी से दैट एग्जांपल नेचर, future. Okay, if we talk about creature, so likewise whenever we are going to use ture, that is going to give you the sound of cheer. Again and again I'm asking you that these sounds will change your speaking, will help you a lot in understanding the native speaker. So all these sounds are not the big things. You can easily make a lot of practices at home, individually, with your friends, with your members, with your colleagues, that are going to help you a lot. Last but not the least is the sound of AL. Actually, the sound of AL is converted into OL. How we pronounce? We say that call. I am calling you. Where are you? I am putting emphasis on every of the alphabet, which is making my English, you can say that there is a touch of Punjabi, Sraiki, some other languages. But one thing you have to keep in your mind, you have to keep all these things in your mind while making practice. Okay, what I'm going to say, that if I'm going to say this particular line in the British accent, I'm calling you, where are you dear, join me. Okay, here I am trying to follow all these accents, all these correct pronunciation. In that way I can convey my message correctly, effectively. You know, effective speaking bring effective results. Okay, so you have to keep all this thing in your mind. These are very, very fruitful things which are going to help you to improve your English language. If I talk about the sentence and the types of sentence, so this is a part of grammar. Okay, there are types of sentences. If we talk about the type of sentences, we can talk about there are 4 types of sentences which are given in this particular course, because we are just giving you the brief introduction for this course, so we are not gonna go toward the detail. But here I have given you English grammar, which is the, you can say that the parts of speech is the part of this particular course, in which I have shown you all these parts of speech, in which I'm talking about noun, pronoun, verb, adverb, adjective, conjunction, preposition, interjection. All these have different functions which we will learn in this particular course. Okay, so I have given the complete detail of this particular thing as well. Okay, that is, there is noun as well, there is pronoun as well. Okay, so we will discuss all these things in this particular course. Thank you very much for giving and listening carefully this particular lecture. Stay with me, inshallah. There are a lot of things in this particular course which we will discuss later on. Thank you. Allah Hafiz. Pakistan Zindabad.